Welcome to Diary of a Dreamer, where resilience unlocks your potential. I'm Tasha Eisinger, and each week I'll bring you powerful stories and practical insights from my own experiences and inspiring guests. Whether you're facing challenges or chasing dreams, this podcast is your go-to for motivation, building confidence, and practical tips for transforming obstacles into opportunities. Be sure to check out my website, tashaeisinger.com. Let's dive into today's episode and start turning your dreams into reality. Today we are with Dr. Angela Sanfilippo Casey. She is a double board certified dermatologist and micrographic dermatologic surgeon, which I don't even think I said that right, so I cannot hear what that means. With a focus on skin cancer and cosmetic dermatology. She is a partner in a suburban private practice, Center for Surgical Dermatology in Columbus, Ohio. She is assistant program director and the head of dermatologic surgery for the Ohio Health Dermatology Residency Program. Here's the Cliff Notes. Dr. Angela knows what she's talking about. That's all we need to know. And I love that she started Bright Girl Cosmetics because she was inspired by, as a mom, which is why I became an author. I was inspired with motherhood. And it's so special what moms can do when we set our minds to it, especially with Dr. Angela's background. So thank you for being here and educating us today.
Oh, Tasha, I am so honored. It is such a privilege to be here joining you and connecting with your community. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I know that you obviously have your background in dermatology, so it makes sense why you would start something cosmetic, which means you're obviously a researcher, you were committed as a mom, I'm assuming, and you're business minded as well. But what was it that made you decide I'm going to invest the massive number of hours in creating Bright Girl?
Well, in a nutshell, I couldn't call myself a healthcare provider if I didn't care enough to make a difference and change the system as it exists currently. So, as you mentioned, I'm a dermatologist and dermatologic surgeon. And with that long title that you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of words. But in my practice, all day, every day, I treat skin cancers. And I do that through a process called Mohs micrographic surgery, which involves my surgically removing the cancer while the patient's in office, just under local anesthesia, so the patient's awake. I then bring that piece of skin that I've surgically removed to our lab down the hall, where it's processed so that I can look at it under the microscope and map out all of those skin cancer cells in relation to normal skin in a three-dimensional manner that allows us to be so precise and meticulous in making sure we get out each and every skin cancer cell without taking extra healthy skin beyond what we need. So I'm operating on the head and neck of almost all my patients, right? Noses, lips, ears, places where every millimeter counts, and we want to get those skin cancers out. Once we've done that and we've confirmed clear margins all the way around, then I do reconstructive surgery. So it's all done same day. I treat skin cancers that, and most of my patients, I would say, are ages 40 and above. But the skin cancers I'm treating today did not start 5 or 10 years ago. They started in the childhood and teenage years. And
mom, you're probably worried about your own kids. Like, what can I do to ensure that I would not be their doctor in decades later, right? Like,
you are 100%. I do not want our young generations ending up in my operating room getting skin cancer surgically removed, because it is so preventable. And that is the mission with Bright Girl Skincare, is that we really get ahead of the skin damage. We teach those good habits. We excite young people about implementing good skincare, and that we give them the tools and resources to do so. Because, you're a mom, I'm a mom. It can be so confusing when we go into Target or Ulta and Sephora. There's so many options to choose from. And it's like, what in the world is right for our young person? And what is something that they're going to look forward to using every day? That's just as important.
Well, and I'm looking at your packaging, And I'm thinking, oh, my kids would be like, oh, that looks so fun. So great job. But it also looks mature. It's not too kid like, but it is fun packaging that it's so funny how my kids fall for that. They're like, oh, I want this thing. And I'm like, don't fall for the packaging.
For them, it's all about the packaging. It has to look pretty in their bathroom. They have to be proud of it. That for our teenagers, they want it to look good on social media. So you've got to incorporate all of those. So we absolutely were very intentional with the Bright Girl packaging, and we're really talking to Gen Z and Gen Alpha through the brand. That's our target demographic. But as lovely and colorful and fun as the packaging is, the true magic is the formulations within. And I'm so proud of what we created.
Well, that was one of my main questions I wanted to ask you, because my first thing I tell my older daughter when she's like, look at the packaging, I'm like, turn it over and look at the ingredients, because US companies are known for putting horrible ingredients in skincare, and our skin's the largest organ on our body and it absorbs it. Right? It goes into our body system. So it's important what we're putting on our skin. I would love to know what makes Bright Girl different than what we're seeing on the shelves already.
Yeah, you're very right, Tasha. In the US, we have a much broader range of quote unquote safe ingredients. And when you compare the many thousands of ingredients that are approved in the US compared to European or Korean standards, where it's really in the hundreds, there's a big differential there. And it allows a lot more room for potentially irritating, potentially harmful, potentially hormone disrupting ingredients to get into our personal care products. And you and I know as moms that any win that we can give our kiddos in that department, whether it's through personal care products or through their food or other, fabrics, other things that they're exposed to, anytime that we can eliminate those potentially harmful ingredients, that's a good thing. So with Bright Girl, a few things. I went back to the white papers, so the research papers in dermatology, and dove deep into ingredients and really looking, what are the clinical studies? What's the evidence? Like, let's not pick an ingredient just because it sounds fun. Like, let's look at the data. And so it's very data, very science driven in terms of the ingredient selection and how those ingredients are going to perform in the skin. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, of course, I wanted to leave out any potentially questionable ingredient in terms of harm or hormone disruption. So paraben free, sulfate free, phthalate free, free of methyl isothiazolinose. And then, of course, the wide range of ingredients that I know as a dermatologist can be irritating to the skin. So we have a whole list of what I call no thank you ingredients that I don't want on my daughter's skin, and most parents probably don't want. But I've taken the guesswork out for parents so they don't have to worry about that. In a nutshell, we formulated Bright Girl to meet Whole Foods standards and Sephora Clean standards, which are among the most rigorous in the beauty industry. We're not in Whole Foods or in Sephora yet. We are in many other retailers, and we can get to that later. But they have the most stringent regulations and safeguards. And so as I was working with our chemists, I said, let's just be extra careful. Like, I just don't want any question. I don't want any guesswork. I want parents to feel safe and confident and trust this brand. And that's what we've brought to market.
What I appreciate about everything you had to say is you did your marketing the way it should be done. You weren't looking at buzzwords, that it's a buzzword for a while and then it's replaced with the next buzzword. You did your marketing exactly the way it should be done. Ensure high quality products, but it's the packaging, right? Whereas a lot of companies, they do lower quality products, ingredients with fancy words that everybody's hearing, and the packaging. So thank you for creating a product that's good enough for your kids and also good enough for mine. As a mom, I think
you are welcome. And just to put a fine point on this point of the conversation, we also did full IRB approved clinical studies with the Bright Girl line. So what that means,
Yeah, what's your beanie?
Yeah, so that is a very scientific. So in the pharmaceutical world, in any sort of cosmetic regulation, it is above and beyond to do clinical studies in a research center setting where you have actual patients testing the products and objectively measuring data throughout a extended time period. And it is very expensive. It's very time consuming. It's just a lot of resources that go in. So these are the types of studies that any like sunscreen goes through, that anything that's over the counter, like pharmaceutical, goes through. But it is above and beyond what most skincare brands go through. Most of them, they can go to shelf without ever having to do those studies. I wanted to do better than that.
Thank
And
you. Like a true
our
mom.
thank you. And our studies were done in the teenage population, and bottom line, showing safety and efficacy of the Bright Girl line for the teen population and improving acne, skin tone, skin hydration, texture, clarity. So all of these metrics that we have, which is very cool. And just to mention, those studies were done completely objectively. So I didn't do them. They were done in a renowned dermatology research center up in Connecticut. I have no ties with the people. I don't know the dermatologists that run those. It just had to be not subjective or biased at all. That was really important to me. And I'm really proud of what they found, and I can share that now. It's not just like an anecdotal cute story, like this is a nice line and it's made by a dermatologist. We have the evidence to back it up.
Oh, well done. Like
Thank
start
you.
to, so I'm always fascinated by the process. So you had the idea, you went to all the research that was already available. You said these things are a firm no in the ingredients. You went into the formulation process. Most businesses start in garages and basements, but I don't think that's probably where you formulated, right? You were formulating in a lab, or was it your kitchen?
We do kind of, we did start in our basement in the sense that not with formulation, but when we packed our first orders, when we were fulfilling them, yes, they were from our basement. But no, again, keeping with those very rigorous standards, all of our products are formulated in CGMP and FDA regulated facilities. So these are, again, the most stringent governmental regulations in terms of all of the tests and hygiene stability tests and microbial tests and making sure like everything works. So I am not a cosmetic chemist. So I knew the ingredients that I wanted to go in the formulations and what I wanted left out. I knew how I wanted them to feel and absorb and spread on the skin, etc. But I needed to assemble a team of really talented cosmetic chemists to bring that to life. So yeah, nothing was ever made in our kitchen or in our basement. But once all the products are manufactured, then we have the boxes and everything. So the jars and everything come to us filled from the chemists, like with everything sealed in adherence with those regulations. But we actually ship out a lot of the products ourselves. And then we have fulfillment centers all over the country, but we still do a percentage of our fulfillment because it is how small brands start, and it's authentic to us, and it's really neat to have that connection with our community.
Yeah. Well, and I think it makes it more special because someday you'll look back and say, oh my goodness, remember when we used to box this up and now we have a manufacturing and processing facility? Like it does it for us. I think that that's really, it keeps you humble and
It absolutely does.
And I do think that's part of the magic of small business owners. But you've also, like you've already hit on, you elevated everything by ensuring it wasn't just, this is the standard. You're like, no, this is Bright Girl standard. It's higher. We're taking what's already acceptable, but we're saying it's unacceptable for our brand because our brand is going to be top of the line.
Yeah, it really has to be. As a double board certified dermatologist and dermatologic surgeon, and my name is on those products. I'm part of a large dermatology organization. I have a lot of leadership roles. If all of those checks and balances are not completed all the way along the line, like that reflects on my reputation, and I would never put that in jeopardy. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, just getting back to that small brand, and for any of your listeners that are entrepreneurs thinking about it, it's been really special to have our entire family involved in this process. So our daughters are all now in the teen and tween age range. So they range between 11 and 17 years old. So they've been part of this. They have watched Bright Girl grow from the time the idea came to me back in 2019 to launching the brand in 2022 to growing it. And now they see it. We're sold in hundreds of dermatology practices across the country. We're in Nordstrom and Macy's and Beauty Space and TikTok Shop and Amazon, and we keep
Amazing.
growing. And they're watching all this, and they're part of it. And that has been one of the neatest things, along with all of the connections we've made through this process. So the people that we've met and the friendships that have developed, the support that you and I were talking about, that women lifting women and empowering, like that is such the cool thing about being an entrepreneur. It can be a challenging and lonely struggle at times, but then you get these wins and you meet people that you never would have met otherwise. And that's
magic.
so fun. It is magic.
It really is. So what age group is Bright Girl for specifically?
Ages 8 through 24. And I say 8 because that is really when our young people are starting to develop opinions and a little bit more, they're more discerning about their personal care products. So they might not want to use the bland white lotion that you have in their bathroom. They're seeing things on social media, they're hearing things from friends and wanting to have a little bit more of an opinion. So it is up to us as parents to provide safe options, because they may come to us and say, oh, I saw this video and they had this serum and this exfoliator. So we want to hear them and see them where they are and acknowledge that, but also guide them in the right direction. And really, we have so many college students, like post-college grads, that are loving the brand because it is all about teaching and empowerment. And I mean, frankly, the products, the formulations are just awesome. They are so beautiful and elevated. I benchmarked the very best of the best brands that I've tried as a dermatologist in the last couple of decades in formulating these, but I wanted to bring it to a price point that was more attainable. So we're more in like the $20 to $30 range, but our moisturizer is just as good as the $90 one that you can get at your dermatologist's office.
Well, and sometimes companies, we tease like with food, it's the same formula. They just put a different label on it and can charge X dollars here, which is way more than over here. So just because something's more expensive does not mean that it's higher end. It's just the label.
Yeah. So we wanted to have some transparency there. And it is very true. But nobody's going to buy a $60 moisturizer for their 15-year-old.
I hope not.
And we want the brand to be accessible, but it is very special. So there's an aspirational component to it as well. And so I think the price is very fair in reflecting the quality of the ingredients, the supply chain, the sourcing of everything. We manufacture in small batches, so we are constantly offering fresh product. And like I said, just meeting all those regulatory components with the regulations and FDA requirements, so that we are delivering something that's very safe and effective. And sadly, in the cosmetics industry and skincare industry, so I would say we're skincare, not so much cosmetics, but there's not a lot of regulations. You can put a lot of junk on the market and it can be sold. So it just kind of a word to the wise for parents out there as you're looking at brands, and often you get what you pay for.
Absolutely. Well, I know for sure. I already told my daughters, I was like, this is going to be what we have in our home. because I looked it up and I was like looking at your credentials and knowing from mother to mother, if this is good enough for your kids, it's certainly good enough for my kids. So it will definitely become a staple product in our house. And my girls are so excited.
Thank you so much, Tasha. Just out of curiosity, where do they get their skincare information, and where do they develop opinions on skincare? Is it from friends? Is it from social media, from school?
Yeah. So my older daughter very much cares about skincare because she's in that age. And I've told her, you want to take good care of your skin at a young age. I did not do that. I was in the generation that we put oil on our skin and laid out in the sun and thought a base burn was a good idea. Like, geez, we're
Yeah,
going to
me
talk
too.
about it. But so I said, it's so important. And like, take care of your hands and your neck. Like, it's so important. So we've talked about that. I'm like, and not just for vanity, but your skin is important. So part of it is me talking with them, but also my older daughter, she gets to watch a little bit of YouTube shorts and she loves DIY things. And so she'll put together her own concoctions in the kitchen of like, some coconut oil and some like lavender, and she's experimenting. And then, of course, from our dermatologist, because I go regularly to the dermatologist, I'm covered in moles. I need somebody who can monitor them. And so it'll be like, well, these are okay over the counter products, but I'm still not been happy with them. And that's why I'm so grateful that I met you, because I think that what's available, what I'm seeing, I'm still not loving. So it's a combination of the dermatologist, YouTube shorts, and her mom. That's where she's getting her information.
No, that's really good. It's helpful to have examples like this because you're right. Our young people are very discerning. They're very fickle. If you don't knock their socks off with that first impression, they're very unlikely to come back. And with skincare, it never has to be complicated, but it does need to be consistent in order to be effective. So you want to give them products that they look forward to using. You want to give them that sunscreen that they crave, that they just don't feel like their day has started until they've put that on. And you want them to feel healthy and confident and empowered. And then you want them to go tell their friends, I found the greatest sunscreen ever. Because 90% of skin cancers are tied directly to ultraviolet exposure. So that one simple act of putting on sunscreen every day has a tremendous impact on decreasing skin cancer incidence. And only about 20% of our skin aging is genetic in nature, and the other 80% is environmental and lifestyle. So we do have this tremendous opportunity to change the trajectory of how our young people age, that they'll get to be age 50 and they'll look like we did at age 25 because they've had all the right things on board, the things that you and I didn't know when we were out frying our skin with our baby oil.
And it's so horrible. And then we would say, like, we got to get our base burn. Or before going out, I remember before going to Florida, I'd be like, oh, I need to go to the tanning bed to get a little bit tan, which isn't a tan skin damage.
It is absolutely a marker of skin damage.
Oh,
A tan is your skin's way of reacting. It's a defense mechanism of your skin to try to protect against further damage. So it dispenses that what's called melanin pigment, which is turned on by the sun exposure. It activates these cells in our skin called melanocytes, and it disperses that pigment that then acts as kind of a little bit of a natural shield against that UV damage, because our skin, it's so intelligent. It's so smart, right? It knows like, ooh, this is bad. And like, we need to like send out all the defenses to try to protect our skin. And a tan, a freckle, that is exactly what's happening. So it really like, let's treat our skin with kindness. It does a tremendous amount for us in keeping us safe and regulating our body temperature and mediating everything that's going on inside of us with the external environment. So we really should nurture and protect it as such.
Okay, so for the people that are older than 24, which I certainly am, much older than 24.
You don't look like it.
You're very kind. I've
Yeah.
never been so conscious of what my skin looked like because I'm 42. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm meeting with Dr. Angela today.
Well, I think your skin looks fabulous. It's glowing. It is healthy. I can tell that you are implementing some good habits in your routine
That's
these days.
very kind. Thank you. So what do you have like a sunscreen that people over 24 should be using? What is a good, you already hit on this. It's so overwhelming. We are inundated with information. Most of it is marketing. It's not actually based and rooted in science. It's just buzzwords. What should we be doing when we are over 24?
Well, first and foremost, it's not an exciting answer, but every dermatologist will tell you a mineral-based sunscreen is the single most important thing to put on your skin every day.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who say, well, but the sun is important. We need to get the vitamin D. Can you address that before we go deeper? Because I agree, like sun is important. We do need some vitamin D that is natural, but I think there's a misconception circulating around. So can you address that?
Yes, vitamin D is critical. It is so fundamental for our health, our metabolic health, our circadian rhythms, hormone health. It is just a non-negotiable. We will almost never get the amount of vitamin D that we need from the sun. The American Academy of Dermatology has done a lot of study on this. It is impossible to measure how much skin should be exposed and what time of day you should be out and for how long, because it's so variable depending on where we live. So there's no way to regulate or create guidelines for that. So I always tell my patients, do not ever depend on sun exposure for your vitamin D. Take a supplement. And the best way to handle that is to have your healthcare provider measure your vitamin D levels so that you can supplement the perfect amount and make sure that you're staying within that optimal range.
Okay.
I also, though, do agree that sun exposure is really important for our eyes, for our circadian rhythm, for our mental wellness, for our metabolic health. So I never, ever, and I don't myself advocate staying indoors or avoiding the sun. No, like let's live our lives. The critical part of all of this is to avoid getting sunburns. Sunburns are where the harm occurs. It's where the real damage is occurring to the skin. It's those ultraviolet rays are penetrating all the way to the DNA of our skin cells and causing mutations and irregularity, and then nothing's functioning like it should. And that's what can lead to a precancer or a cancer. But when we can implement those simple measures like putting on sunscreen, wearing a wide brimmed hat, wearing some sun protective clothing, we can still do all the things that we want to do. And I'll be honest, like when I go to the beach, I wear a bikini and I do not have like a rash guard covering everything like every single time I'm out. Sometimes I do if we're out midday, but you've got to just be like, I don't know, like where's the right thing for you? Go play golf, go play tennis, just be smart about it.
I feel like it's kind of like have a healthy respect for how powerful the sun can be and what it can do, but don't fear it.
Exactly. Exactly. So just like anything, all things in moderation.
Right. Okay. Thank you for addressing that because I do see that circulating around of, well, you shouldn't use any sunscreen because you need to get your vitamin D and all of that. So thank you for addressing that. So let's get back to people older than 24.
Yeah.
Got a product out. Which sunscreen do you recommend for us?
Well, I use it myself. I wear it every day. So does my husband, who is definitely not a teen girl. This is our Bright Girl tinted sunscreen. And the reason I love this it has a sheer, it gives a sheer glow. So it has a little bit of tint. It's an SPF 44. It has hyaluronic acid in it, so it's very hydrating. It also protects against blue light as well as UVA and UVB. So it is one of the few sunscreens on the market that protects against blue light. And honestly, Tasha, this formulation, I'm biased, I know it's mine. It is so gorgeous and glides on so smoothly. It does not pill or clump. It works beautifully on its own. It works wonderfully if you want to put some foundation or makeup over it. It is such a win. I have patients as old as 92 years old using this sunscreen every single day. It is currently sold out because we have so many influencers on TikTok that are obsessed with it. And they are not teenagers. Actually, one of the big influencers, she's 55 years old and she has a huge following, almost 1 million followers. And she just sells through this like crazy. Yeah.
Amazing.
So
Okay,
I
well,
love
I'm a
that. And
little
it makes my heart
responsible.
smile. Yes. If there's like one thing we want to be getting out is good sunscreen and a good mineral based sunscreen, which is they are very hard to find because most mineral sunscreens tend to be thick and pasty. But I knew that that would not work for our 18-year-olds. If it was thick and pasty and clumpy, they were not going to wear it. So we had to go above and beyond.
I absolutely love another thread I'm hearing as you're talking. Just because this is the way it's done or always been done, or other companies do it this way, you're like, nope, this will not work, because the main mission is creating healthy habits. So you've taken every objection possible and you're just knocking them out. I love that.
Thank you, Tasha. I mean, it is. We live it in our own world with our own teenage daughters. If they don't love something and they don't connect with a brand, they're not going to come back. And that was really, so there are lots of great skincare options on the market, but that's where I saw the void, was brands that were really tailored and really speaking to Gen Z and Gen Alpha and offering them something special and exceptional compared to what was on the market. So that's where that's kind of our niche of where we are. And as a brand too, we're incredibly focused on education. So it's not just put on this product. This is why this product is good for your skin. This is what's happening at the cellular level. On our packaging, we call out the pH of every product. And I talk a lot about why skin pH is at a certain level and why it's important to have products that work with that. What does SPF mean? What's the difference between a mineral and a chemical sunscreen? So all of these things we really educate as a brand through social media, through our website, blogs, newsletters, everything, because knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And this younger generation, they do know how to research and like look things up. They're constantly, I think they're going to be a generation that they're not going to take things at face value, because they know there's a lot of scammers out there and fraudulent people that they have to sort and filter a lot more than what we did.
It's really interesting when you look at the research too about teenagers being able to differentiate between AI generated information and images compared to normal. And they're actually much better at it than we as adults are, which is great. It gives me hope. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening to our society? And what is the future going to be like for our sweet daughters? And are all the jobs going to go away? But they do have, and that craving for that emotional intelligence, but being able to sort through a lot of the marketing claims and all the noise that's out there. And that's really important.
I know that you have probably a very full schedule, but will you please create like a bright women?
That's yeah, bright mom will be next.
Right, a menopausal woman who doesn't know what's happening in life.
Oh, I hear you.
It's possible.
It's the next, when you look at our history as women, it's, puberty is that first big shift, and then our pregnancies, and then it's the perimenopausal
Oh, that would be
years.
so funny. Bright pregnancy, bright perimenopausal. The perimenopausal would be like step one. It would just have a one,
Right.
two. I'm like, that's all I need to know.
Right. Just like keep it very, very simple. But honestly, skincare it should be simple. And the beauty industry has really overcomplicated things because they are focused on sales, right? Their success thrives on more sales and more revenue, and that creates this bigger machine. So I'm here as a dermatologist to cut through that noise and tell you your skincare regimen does not have to involve a long, complicated routine. In the morning, if you only put on a mineral sunscreen, that's all you need, because this is going to moisturize your skin. It's going to protect, it's going to have all of those components in place.
Okay.
All you really need in the evening is a cleanser and a moisturizer. So
What?
yes, a nice, beautiful, like robust pH balance cleanser and a moisturizer that's going to hydrate your skin, repair your skin barrier, and give you some of those ingredients to help your skin recover overnight. So to break it down to the bare basics, now, the caveat to that is if you have skin like ours, right, because of the generation that we grew up in that needs a little bit more repair and help, that's when we bring in some of the other products like a retinol or maybe like a vitamin C serum. But you don't have to get more complicated than that, honestly. And that's all I use myself, Tasha. I use a retinoid cream at night and a vitamin C in the morning. But I grew up in the 80s and 90s and had a lot of damage and a lot of sunburns to my skin. So I
Yeah.
can't ignore that. I do have to do something to correct it.
Yeah, I used to lay out in the sun all the time. I detasseled corn in the sun. I don't think we put sunscreen on very much. Now, my younger brother being a redhead, he always had sunscreen on, right? But I don't think that was really a thing for the most part. So what I'm hearing is in the morning, our generation, it would be wise to use a vitamin C serum. Are we supposed to cleanse in the morning too? Because don't we like
Optional. So if you are, yeah, I know we're dispelling a lot of myths here,
I know.
and all the dermatologists are going to side with me on this. If you are someone who has really oily skin, or if you sweat a lot when you sleep, then you're going to want to
Sure.
cleanse your skin in the morning.
Let's.
Right. I mean, and honestly, a lot of us, yeah, perimenopausal, menopausal, we might be dealing with that. But
Okay.
if you are not, it is, you can just do like a little warm water on your face in the morning, and that's all you need to do. So in the shower, because you can tip the scales too much in the other direction when you over cleanse your skin, because you're removing a lot of those protective oils, you're irritating the skin barrier a little bit, which is okay to a certain extent. But if you keep doing it, that skin barrier breaks down, and that's what leads to inflammation, sensitivity. That's when
Yeah.
I have patients coming in, they're like, Dr. Casey, I've got sensitive skin. I'm like, well, no, you don't. You're washing your skin 3 times a day, and nobody's skin should be
Yes.
handling all of that. It's too much, and you're not replenishing it enough.
Okay, so this is just a totally random question that popped into my head, but but there are people thinking of what you're saying. There's beneficial bacteria and things in our skin already. So taking too many showers is probably bad too, right?
Right. So
My hot showers, they have to be hot, but that's probably not good.
it's not the best thing for your skin. Lukewarm is the best thing for your skin, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
that's okay. I love a hot shower too. So I don't walk the walk when it comes to lukewarm showers. It just is not going to do the trick.
So comforting. Okay, so taking too many showers isn't going to be healthy either, right? So how often is that recommended for healthy skin?
Yeah, so once a day showering, perfectly fine. Try not to do more than that. Our skin does have a microbiome, as you mentioned. So trillions actually of bacteria and fungi and viruses that live on our skin. It's just like our gut microbiome, which I think a lot of individuals are more familiar with. When we wipe out all the good stuff, so in our gut, for example, when we take an antibiotic and it wipes everything out and then it kind of wreaks havoc on our whole system and it takes a long time to recover from that, I think that's the best analogy I can come up with that individuals might understand. So our skin microbiome, it's like a whole community. It's like this utopian, thriving community where everything has a role and everything's in checks and balances. And the good bacteria keep the bad bacteria away. And when we disrupt that and it tips the scales so that those good bacteria are all of a sudden all wiped out, then the bad actors come in and they're like, oh yeah, like we're going to proliferate. That's what leads to acne. It can lead to skin infections. It leads to irritation and skin sensitivity. So it is really important that we are respecting and understanding that component and the role that the microbiome is playing in our skin health as a whole. When we're wiping it out with too many showers, too aggressive cleansing, products that are really harsh and exfoliating, a lot of antibacterial products, it's not so good for our skin.
Interesting. So I've also heard, because my younger daughter has eczema, so like after getting out of the shower, that's one of the best times to put on lotions, right? Because it absorbs better.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah. So when your skin is damp and it's warm, it's more porous. So it's going to absorb any products that you put in. Not to mention when you get out of a bath or shower, you've got some inherent hydration just from the water being on your skin. So the idea with applying a lotion or even a more occlusive product like a Vaseline or Aquaphor after a shower is that you're taking advantage of that hydration that's currently in the skin. You're locking that in. Your skin is absorbing that product even better. So it's not sitting just on top of your skin, but it's absorbing in a little bit and you're getting all those benefits because eczema, there are a lot of factors that contribute to eczema, but one of the more fundamental concepts is that it is breakdown of the skin barrier. So anything that you can do to kind of nourish, support, and repair the skin barrier, which lotion and other products after the shower are going to assist with, is a win.
Okay. I'm learning so much from you, Dr. Angela.
Good. That's the whole goal. That's why we're here. And thank you for your amazing platform because hopefully lots of others are learning from this conversation.
I hope. Yeah, it's kind of selfish me doing this podcast because I always learn from my guests. I love it.
It is one of the many gifts of the podcast, but it is truly, it's why we are doing what we're doing, right? We want to get out. You and I want to go and help more people and spread that information.
Yeah. So for any of the listeners that are in our age group and older, obviously I go to my dermatologist regularly. It's very important. What are some warning signs for people to pay attention to? Because I have so many moles. I have stuff that pops up just kind of randomly sometimes, right? So we didn't take good care of our skin. Our age and older, we need to be looking for things. What should we be looking for?
I think the easiest way to summarize this is if you notice like a pimple or a sore or a scab on your skin that hasn't gone away after a couple of months, that's a sign it should be checked.
Okay.
If you have a true pimple or irritated follicle, like it's usually going to go away within a week or 2 or 3. But if it's been there for 3 or 4 months, it probably needs to be checked. And I hear that story daily from patients. And they are coming in so that I can surgically remove a basal cell skin cancer. And they say, you know, Dr. Casey, I thought it was just a pimple. Like it looks like a pimple. It acted like that. And you know, many times they've had it for a year or 2 before they get in to see a dermatologist.
Please don't wait a year or 2.
Don't wait that long if you can. Like try to get in after a few months if you notice that. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
With moles, I think the best rule of thumb with looking at your moles is to look for the ugly duckling mole. What does not belong? What looks different? What stands out from the rest of it? It's bigger. It's darker. The borders look fuzzy. It doesn't have the same symmetry from side to side. Though that's just a good, so if you remember just those two things, and I could give you a big long list, but I don't want to overcomplicate it. I want your listeners to take away a spot or a sore that doesn't heal after a few months and an ugly duckling mole. So just remember those two things. That's going to really screen for a large majority of skin cancers. And when in doubt, just go see your dermatologist. Just get it checked. It's not worth letting it go. We really are so much more successful when we catch and treat skin cancers early. And skin cancer is the #1 most prevalent cancer worldwide and will affect 1 in 5 of us by age 70 in the US.
Jeez, 1 in 5. So it is always better to just go get it checked. You're not thinking like, I can't believe this patient came back. You're probably
Never.
Like, you're advocating.
Never. I am so happy when patients come in. There's never any judgment. And also along those lines, an important message for your listeners: don't ever feel embarrassed or ashamed if you've had a spot that's been there for 10 years and you haven't gotten it checked. We will never think any less of you. We are here to help you in the here and now as your healthcare providers. And believe me, we've seen it all, Tasha. So nothing shocks us.
Oh my God. Well, and also I want all of the listeners to feel very empowered. Just like any profession, there's good and bad in any profession. And so if you go to a dermatologist and they're not listening, they're not giving you the care that you need, go find another one, because there are really good ones in the field that truly care. And there's also going to be bad ones. It's okay to get second opinions. It's okay to go seek somebody out who's really going to listen and care.
Yeah, I always remind patients, you know your skin the best. So if something is not sitting right with you and it's raising a red flag, advocate for yourself. And if you don't get the answer you want from one provider, get a second opinion.
Yeah. So I am hoping that everybody's listening and they're like, I at least want the Bright Block from Bright Girl. How can people get your products? How can they get in touch with you? And I also know you have a discount for listeners today. So go ahead and share all of that as we wrap it up.
Yes. So first of all, you can get our products just on our website, Bright Girl, and it's spelled just like it sounds, BRIGHTGIRL.com. You can also find us, as I mentioned, on Amazon, TikTok Shop, Macy's, Nordstrom, and Beauty Space by Space NK. So any of those platforms. And Dreamer for 20% off. It's a great opportunity in the summer months, like great time to get your sunscreen as we're getting back to school, getting your kids in those like good, healthy habits, getting them something that really demonstrates that you are looking out for their skin health.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'll also link everything in the show notes. I really appreciate you being here. And for the work you're doing, it's so important to protect our kids. So thank you for being part of that.
Well, Tasha, thank you again for all that you're doing and for giving me a platform to share this important message. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Diary of a Dreamer. I hope you found the stories and tips shared today to be a source of motivation and strength. Remember, every challenge you face is a chance to grow and move closer to your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with anyone who could use a boost of encouragement. Please check out my website, TashaEisinger.com.